The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Good morning. Court Radio is now in session. Call 215-227-2727. When you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. This is Court Radio. And now here's your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning, Court Radio fans. This is Dean Weitzman, and it's Court Radio, and it's November 1st. Wow. This year has flown by. I'm joined in the studio with my co-host, the one and only David M. Rappaport.
Good morning. Thank you. Woo. Oh.
I got to tell you, I'm losing my voice.
Yeah. Sounds like I'm at the Temple game.
Yeah,
But you were.
I was going crazy at the Temple game, and my voice has taken a beating. So I'm going to rely upon you today, David Rappaport.
Goody. Can't wait.
What a game. What a game.
Yeah.
Nothing. It was a loss, but nothing to be ashamed of.
A heartbreaking loss, as they say, which means you played well, but, you just came out short.
Yeah, but it shows that Temple can play with anybody.
Yeah, they are definitely.
If Notre Dame is the best, one of the best teams in this country, Temple deserves to be right there alongside them. It was a hard-fought battle and ended 24-20, but they were trading punches right up to the last seconds.
Yeah, they held it. So can't be. You're upset, but you can't be that upset.
Yeah. In fact, I'm not even sure. I'd like to hear what our listeners have to say, but I don't think they're going to fall out of the top 25.
I hope not.
Yeah.
They shouldn't, based upon that performance.
Absolutely. So that's where I was yesterday.
That's where you were, yeah.
And now we have some important races coming up.
Races.
Folks, if you're out there and you're registered to vote, and I certainly hope most of our listeners are, then Tuesday is a fairly important election.
Important.
All right? David says it. It's a very important election.
If you've listened to Court Radio and you agree, or you've learned a lot about insurance and the law as far as what you need to do,
protecting yourself
with accidents and collisions and medical mistakes and things like that. If the Supreme Court, well, we might as well put it out there, the Supreme Court justices, there's 3 spots open.
That's correct, which is actually historic. Never before has there been a race where half of the court, essentially, and there's 7 justices, but half of the court will be replaced on Tuesday.
Yes, and if, I will go so far as to say, if those justices are replaced with justices in the Republican-leaning, I don't know how to say it in a nice way, but if the Republicans are in there, and judges are supposed to be impartial, but let's face it, there are conservative justices and there are liberal justices.
There are Republicans who I've voted for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who don't always side with big business.
Right.
Who have a social conscience.
Right. And want to protect people.
Right. But that's not the justices who are running under the Republican banner.
Correct.
In this election.
Now, there's a good way of saying it, right. So the Republicans that are being offered are Republicans that, if they become justices, will then have the majority of the court and then will seek to change the laws of what we now know to be, allowing us to recover for damages. They'll limit the amount of damages. Maybe even limit the right to recover in certain cases. We've seen it with when Corbett was governor. We saw the joint and several liability go away, which was a big hit for people and plaintiffs in cases. And we will see that tenfold. We have limited tort now in Pennsylvania. We've had that for a while. You could see worse than limited tort if these justices get in.
Folks, if you're listening today, you want to participate in this conversation, all you got to do is give us a call at 215-227 2727. You got legal questions you've been sitting on all week long. David probably has the answer. Just give him a call at 215-227-2727. That's the number to call for Court Radio.
So, won't even give the names yet. Just vote the Democratic Supreme Court Justice nominees. That's it.
Yeah.
But we will give you the name. The Donahue is one of them. Wecht is the other. And who's the third?
Doherty?
Doherty. That's it. Well, I said Doherty.
No, you said Donahue.
Oh, I meant Doherty.
Okay.
Doherty, Wecht, and I have to have it written down. I can't. Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht, right? Yeah. There you go. See, I didn't have the one name. I was right. I did have it. You made me think I didn't.
Wow. 215.
Horrible of you, Dean. Horrible. But anyway.
215-227-2727.
Extremely important.
So.
Vote. Even if you're going to vote, I will say, even if you're going to vote Republican, vote. Okay? Vote. Don't just sit at home. Vote. Have a reason to vote and vote.
Yeah.
Then this is extremely, you don't think it's important. You can sit there and go, justices, who cares, blah, blah, blah. No, really, this is important. It's very important. And if you just sit home and do nothing, then you're not participating in something. You know, I see all these people. I want to make a little social comment. You see everyone on Facebook posting the little ribbons, and I'm patriotic and this and that. But if you don't vote, then you shouldn't have the right to post all these things about how patriotic you are and how, righteous you are and all this kind of stuff, because you're not participating in the very system. And you talk about ISIS and horrible this, horrible that. Well, guess what? You're in a democracy. Use it. Use the democracy that you're touting should be all over the world.
215-227-2727. We got callers calling in. Let's talk to Judy from Germantown. Hi, Judy.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I just have a question really quickly. I'd like you guys to talk about who you would support in this coming election, not only for Supreme Court justices, but across the board. I would like specific names, and I'll hang up while you respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. Well, Dean?
Well,
I'm not well versed on all of the candidates across the board, quite frankly, but
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting races, and in fact, we're going to have one of the candidates calling in momentarily for city council.
But by the way, full disclosure for me, I don't live in Philadelphia County, so I can't vote for a lot of the candidates in Philadelphia.
And nor do I.
Right. So and council, and there's a lot of other positions that are relevant to that. So
yeah, the statewide
ones, yeah.
The statewide ones are the Supreme Court justices right now that we've all been mentioning. And in fact, I sent a newsletter out to the folks who are on the My Philly Lawyer newsletter chain. And if you'd like to get onto that, all you got to do is send me an email to dean@myphillylawyer and give me your email address, and we'll get you on the newsletter. But I sent a newsletter out explaining exactly what we're talking about, that I think it's really important. If you're an individual, not a corporation, and you want to protect your rights to the courthouse,
absolutely,
then it's utterly important that you vote for Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht.
I mean, believe me, I would be the first one, as hard as this may be to believe, to say vote for all the Republican candidates if those candidates were candidates that supported, individual rights and tort law and all this kind of stuff.
Hey, listen.
But guess what? They don't.
A Republican I regularly voted for was Arlen Specter. I thought Arlen had his heart in the right place.
I agree. But see, today is different, and I'm going to go to what the caller's question was. I'm not so sure this venue is proper for us to go through every candidate. We're focusing on the ones that affect the type of law that we talk about here on Court Radio. However, I will say that this is my personal opinion with the way I lean, and I'm a Democrat, I'm liberal, with what I see in the Republican Party today. Okay, you don't see a lot of Arlen Specters. What you see is a lot of Donald Trumps and Rubios and Huckabees and these nut jobs. So I hate to say it, but that's what you see. And in my opinion, I can't wrap my head around voting for anyone who supports the party that is putting those people in the forefront right now. So my voting is going to be straight Democrat. Bink. I will not vote for a Republican because I don't find any one of them to not be somewhat supportive of these wacky agendas that are going on in the country. And I just won't support it.
You heard it from David. Let's talk to Melody from East Oak Lane. Hey, Melody, welcome to Court Radio.
Hey, Dean, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for calling in.
I am I look so forward to you every Sunday. It's just amazing. It's like a drug. I'm addicted to you guys. I need to learn
hey.
what to say next.
Like that.
There you go.
Anyway.
And I'm not even going to send you to rehab.
There is no rehab for Court Radio.
All right. What's on your mind today, Melody?
Well, I was listening to you guys about the Republicans and the auto insurance industry,
Uh-huh.
how it's going to affect our claims.
Right.
Well, wouldn't it affect the purchasing of insurance for future people if they limit what we will be able to get? I mean, we don't need to borrow that insurance anymore because now they're limiting what we can get.
Oh,
Correct?
You'll always be obligated to have insurance, and they'll always charge you top dollar.
Understand.
Right, but you're right. You're right. They'll charge you top dollar.
You're advising us to buy more to protect ourselves, and at the same time, you're telling us that we're going to be limited. So
You're correct.
What do we do?
Yeah.
You're putting my head here.
That's what you do. Well, what you do is you have to vote for the people that will maintain your rights. But you're absolutely,
I plan to.
you are
I plan
absolutely
to.
correct.
I just wanted to know if you guys can clarify that for me.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
well,
correct. I mean, I can't.
Look at Texas, okay? You look at Texas, they have a $250,000 cap
Right.
on personal injury damages, so that if you in Texas, if you lost a limb, okay, or you had a bad burn and you were in horrific pain every day for the rest of your life, you could not get the at-fault party. If, let's say it's a corporation, they have billions of dollars, they caused this injury to you. You cannot get them to pay you more than $250,000, period, end of story. They will quickly write you a check for $250 and walk away.
No, I disagree with that. They'll fight you all the way to the courthouse steps. Then they'll have to pay you the $250. Only when you make them pay it. Then and then when the jury, if you go to a jury trial and the jury gives you $4.5 million, they'll go, oh, well, guess what? We only have to give you $250.
Well, look,
and then they'll give you the $250.
all you got to do is look at the young lady in Bucks County.
Yeah, there you go.
She lost a limb because of the negligence of a school bus operator.
Right.
The school district had $10 million in insurance coverage.
Right.
The jury awarded her like $14 million.
$14 million, something like that.
And the judge, not the jury, the judge molded that $14 million down to
What was 500,000?
no,
I thought
it was the Commonwealth. 250,000. And the Supreme Court, your Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, recently upheld that 250 and refused to change it. If you get the right court in there, I think in the next 5 years
They could change that.
They can change that law, and they can give victims of horrific accidents, give them more than they're getting today. But with the wrong court, it'll be status quo. Nothing will change. It's so important.
Loud and clear, Dean.
There are
So
people.
let's say we do vote for the right people. We get them out there, but it wasn't quite enough. So we lost that hurdle, and now we got to deal with the repercussions of the wrong court being in there. Sounds like our future purchase of insurances is going to be wasted, or money. Our money's going to be wasted.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's
I don't know
certainly
what to do.
you will not. You certainly will not have the same protections that you could have with the right court. And you're right, to some extent, getting the right insurance will be less meaningful.
Right, but it goes beyond insurance. It's just really in anything. Like you go to the
I agree.
hospital and they do something in the hospital that causes an injury. You you fall on something that wasn't maintained properly and you have to sue it's a lot of different. It's anything having to do with plaintiff personal injury law they want to limit.
The only people to blame are us, because these folks don't make any qualms about it. They say it. They tell you right up front, we're going to reduce the ability of people to get compensation for injuries caused by others. They say it.
Right.
They're not playing around.
No.
They're saying we're going to side with big business if you vote for us.
They claim that it's causing big business to go out of business or insurance rates to go up. If any thinking person just has to Google the statistics on that to see that it's a bunch of baloney.
All right, Melody, we got to run. Thanks for being an addict to Court Radio.
I just want you to know I'm depressed now, so I hope we come out on the upper end of this, because I'm going to be sick for a while. I'll tell you that.
Well, we'll send you a T-shirt. How about that?
Well, let's reconvene next week and see if we were successful or not.
Okay, I'll be there.
All right. 215-227-2727. We got Andrew Stober on the line. Andrew, welcome to Court Radio.
Great to be with you guys this morning.
Andrew Stober is running for city council at large in a historic race for Philadelphia as a guy who's running as an independent and has a shot to win. Is that a fair statement?
I think that is a very fair statement, and I want to give David, the caller earlier, another choice. He doesn't have to vote straight Democrat.
I agree.
He can vote all Democrat, and then when it comes to city council, he's going to push button 826 for an independent, and then he can use his rest of his votes for Democrat.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. In that it is refreshing to have a third choice. That might be one of the issues in our country that is a negative, that we don't have more choices. And so I welcome that, and I agree with you. I will do
that. Andrew, quickly, we don't have a lot of time with you. Why are you, as an independent, running for city council?
So I'm running as a progressive independent because the way our city council works is there are 5 at-large seats that are reserved for Democrats and 2 at-large seats that are reserved for non-Democrats. And I decided to run as an independent because those 2 seats have always been held by Republicans. They view them as an entitlement. I believe a seat on city council is earned every day and won on election day. And I want to challenge the Republicans' entitlement to those seats and add another strong progressive voice to city council, add another voice for our public schools. The Republicans on city council this spring voted against nearly every funding increase for the public schools. I want to be a strong voice for our neighborhoods and communities. I spent the last 6.5 years working in city government, improving services in city and neighborhoods across the city, bringing in tens of millions of dollars in grants for infrastructure in every corner of the city. And I want to bring that voice and that experience to city council.
Speaking of that experience, you have some experience working for city government. Tell us about that.
Sure. So for the past decade, I worked in city and state government, getting it to run more equitably and efficiently and effectively. Here in Philadelphia, I ran something called the Office of Transportation and Utilities. I led the team that started the Indigo Bike Share program, those blue bikes that you see around the city. I created an energy office for the city that cut millions of dollars in waste, money that our tax dollars that were just going to big utility companies that didn't need to be. We saved that money and brought it right back to the city's bottom line, reduced the pressure on tax increases, have more money for social services and for public safety. And then, as I said before, brought in tens of millions of dollars in grants for things like upgrading the traffic signals on Woodland Avenue and Bustleton Avenue and Allegheny Avenue. So it's faster for SEPTA passengers who are traveling across those streets. It's safer to cross those streets, and it's faster for drivers too.
Let me ask you something, Andrew. How many before you?
Yeah.
How many independents got elected to city council?
None.
And what you said something about the entitlement.
What makes you think you are?
Sure, it's a great question. So we have put together a really serious campaign. I have raised more money than any other independent who's ever run this before. I have the endorsement of former governor and former mayor Ed Rendell. I have the endorsement of Mayor Nutter. We are up and every neighborhood across the city, knocking on doors, letting people know about this campaign. We've been all over social media, on Facebook, on Twitter. We have a campaign commercial that's been up on YouTube and getting lots of views. We're running a really serious campaign. People are excited. They're ready for an independent. They're sick and tired of Republicans who aren't protecting their interests in Washington or Harrisburg, no less our own City Hall. And we have an opportunity to send a message to Republicans in Washington and Republicans in Harrisburg that, you know what, they don't just get a seat in Philadelphia City Hall. They got to earn it.
You know, in essence, David was telling me that his woman, Cindy, was saying that...
his woman.
Yeah, well, you're...
Right. Go ahead.
Okay.
Me, woman. It sounds like I have a club, and I'm wearing a unitard, whatever.
Cindy was saying that there's this race is an opportunity to elect more Democrats than ever before. Well,
sure.
In essence, if Andrew gets a seat at the table,
yes,
he's an independent, but he's certainly a friend of the people.
I was going to say she didn't say Democrat. She said getting less Republican. Like, in other words, there's. And I wanted to ask you about that, the entitlement thing. There's two Republicans that do they just get the seat no matter what, or
no? So as lawyers, you guys will appreciate this. So what the charter says is that no party shall control more than 5 of the 7 seats.
Okay.
So what that functionally has meant in Philadelphia is the Democrats have gotten 5 seats, and the Republicans have gotten 2 seats.
They get 2.
We have very competitive Democratic primaries, and the folks who get through on that side all win on November 3rd, and then the Republicans put forward whoever they put forward in a not very competitive primary process,
right,
and then they just count on the few tens of thousands of Republicans in the city to hand them a victory on Election Day. And I'm just saying that's not right.
It isn't. I like the fact that there's a third choice. Is better. More choices are better. And, it would be refreshing to get another voice in there that isn't necessarily, partisan in either direction.
Yeah, and I think, when it comes to city council, the reality is it's not about even being a Democrat or a Republican. It's about being someone who knows and loves the city, someone who's going to work really hard, and someone who's going to be able to look beyond Philadelphia's boundaries for solutions to our problems and figure out how we adapt them to work right here in Philadelphia. And I'm someone who brings all of that to the table. And I hope I've earned the votes of a whole bunch of your listeners. My ballot number is 826.
All right, Andrew
826.
Stover, 826. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Best
so
of
much, guys.
luck.
Yep, thank you.
Take care,
bye-bye.
buddy. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Art on line 2 from Abington, who's got real estate legal issues. No, gone. Hey, Art, next time you got to stay on the line a little bit. Give me some patience. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
If you have legal problems and need answers, call My Philly Lawyer's Dean Weitzman first at 215-227-2727. Whether it's personal injury, medical malpractice, birth injury, or more, Dean is ready to fight for you and the compensation you deserve.
I'm Dean Weitzman. Facing any kind of legal or medical challenge can be overwhelming, but you don't have to go it alone. Call 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most.
You were just hurt. It's not your fault. You're in physical pain. How do you get better? Who is going to help you recover? West Philadelphia Associates has highly trained doctors and staff that can help you today. Don't wait at a hospital. West Philadelphia Associates will work with your attorney, providing documentation of all injuries and the best plan for treatment to get you back to the life you deserve. With diagnostic studies to better detect injuries, West Philadelphia Associates doctors and staff will help you recover. West Philadelphia Associates, here to help you get better because you deserve it. Call 215-471-4714.
For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia. If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back, Court Radio listeners. It's Dean Weitzman, and this is Court Radio, and it's Sunday, November the 1st. 10 months down and 2 to go. We're entering the holiday season. Can you believe it, David
No, I
Rappaport?
can't. Thanksgiving, though, the best holiday around.
Yes. You'll find David in a coma on the easy
A turkey
chair.
coma.
215-227-2727 gets you into Court Radio Sunday mornings, and it gets you into My Philly Lawyer the rest of the week. You know, we're running low on T-shirts. We're going to have to get a new batch.
Uh-oh.
I'm thinking I'm going to use Melody's line, "I'm addicted to Court Radio."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like
She'd
that.
probably sue me, though, for some intellectual property
Well,
rights.
it is recorded, so
Yeah, but-
it would predate your ordering of the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I will represent you, Melody.
Okay, well, I'm going to...
Deep pocket.
I'll concede
Defend
that.
it.
Yeah, you will not, because I will not be using that.
I
But
like it, though.
unless
It's good.
Melody sends me an email to Dean at My Philly Lawyer and says, "Dean, I give you full rights to use
I hope
I'm
she
addicted
does.
to Court Radio."
Because, there is a connection. The whole thing, I'm addicted to it. I like the whole thing.
Yeah, there you go. And if David likes
Just don't have my name on it.
it must work.
No, I'm kidding.
Your name is on it.
I know. I'm kidding.
All right, let's take callers. Come on. Shirley from Southwest Philly.
Hello.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
What brings you to Court Radio this morning?
Well, I have an issue in reference of being sick, and I was homesick for one day, right?
Right.
And they called me. I called out from work because I had a virus, a cold, and what I did was, hello?
Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
We're
What
right,
I did was
right with
I
you.
called out sick around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not feeling my good. So what I did round about 3 o'clock, my timekeeper called and requested that I bring a note in. Okay, and I was very, very sick that day. So the next day I didn't go in. I got up that morning. I went to the doctor. The doctor wouldn't even shake my hand, because I'm sick. So I got the note, took it to work. I talked to people, in reference to them calling me up at home in my bed sick. Nobody didn't ask me how I was doing or anything like that. And I felt some kind of way about that, because I don't wish sickness on myself or nobody else. And I feel some kind of way about that.
Okay. So what happened?
What's the question for Court Radio?
The question for Court Radio is that why are people so insensitive about someone when they're home sick?
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I
that's a
can tell you-
question for, everyone.
David says that to me all the time, Cheryl. Why, Dean, are you so insensitive to my needs? But
sensitive to everything in life.
I am insensitive to everything. But you know what? You're absolutely right. I don't mean to minimize. What I'm going to say is that that's just good taste and appropriate behavior.
I can't wait.
And it's not something that can be litigated.
Yeah, well, guess what? Next week we're going to bring on a Dean Weitzman, My Philly Lawyer employee, and see what kind of kudos they get when they're sick.
Please.
I don't think you give any.
My employees are treated like queens and kings.
And when they call in
gold.
sick, you go, "Oh, please stay home and get better."
Yeah, and I don't ask them for a doctor's note either.
Well, that's true. I know you don't do that.
But Cheryl, if they request a doctor's note and they call you when you're sick and request that doctor's note, there's absolutely nothing that I'm aware of that you could do to prevent that from happening.
And you can't make people more sensitive. There's no way to do that. They either are or they aren't. I mean, unfortunately, businesses are more concerned, most, I should say, not all, but a lot of them are more concerned about money than they are about anything else. And when you're out, they're not capable of making as much money as they could or getting work done.
So one way to deal with it, Cheryl, is to get another job. And to start looking now for another job for a place that might be more, more sensitive to your needs. But here's the angle, Cheryl. Here's the angle I'm going to take on this, because I get a lot of calls, David, every week from people who have had a bad experience at work.
Right.
And they're, they're all justified. Like, hey, so-and-so lied on me, and I was disciplined.
That's right.
Or I was fired because they lied on me.
Right.
And what can I do about that? Can I sue my employer?
No.
And the answer is no. Yeah.
And you can't sue them for being insensitive either.
Here's how you sue your lawyer. When your
lawyer,
your employer.
Tell me.
Sorry,
I can't wait to sue you.
Your employer, if your employer violates your civil rights, you have a right to not be discriminated against.
Right.
There are 7 protected classes. Some of them are race. Okay.
Sexual orientation, religion,
sexual orientation, age. There you go.
But there's another way. If you have a contract in writing that says what your rights are as an employee, in other words, to put it into perspective, if they said,
if Shirley had a contract that said when you're out of work, you don't need to provide us with any documentation.
Correct. That's what I was just going to say.
You're entitled. Those are your sick days. Use them as you please.
That's right. If you get sick days and you're allowed to use them as you please, then they have no right to ask you for a note.
Right.
And if they do, you can just say, well, I'm not providing it. Leave me alone.
And then if they fire you for not having a note,
there you go.
Then you could sue them for wages.
But you need to have a contract, and you need to be familiar with the contract that you have at work. Most people don't have a contract. They just get hired, and that's it.
Let's be specific here. A contract sometimes might seem like you negotiate terms and you both sign. But this goes a little further. If you have an employee handbook,
like a manual,
that's a contract. And so when you get hired, everybody gets that employee handbook and promptly throws it in the trash. Please hold on to that, because if you think they violated some clause in your employee handbook, they didn't fire you the right way or for the right reasons, I'm going to ask to see that employee handbook. That's really the simple way to sue your employer if you believe they violated the rights they've already given you.
Right.
215-227-2727. Cheryl, thanks for calling, and we hope you're feeling better real soon. Let's talk to David. You're going to like this.
I am?
Line 4.
Oh, he doesn't even tell me.
Line 4. Hello?
Hello?
Do I have permission?
Oh, absolutely. For disclosure, you can have it all. I have no interest in doing anything legal. For any advertising that I get to enjoy my voice on your station. Absolutely. Do what you need to do.
It's Melody.
All right, that's cool.
That's it. The next T-shirt for Court Radio is going to say, I'm addicted to Court Radio.
Yes, awesome.
All right, Melody, take care. Thanks for calling us back.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I still think you should sue him for using the phrase.
215-227-2727. Let's talk to William from North Philly. Hello, William.
Hello. How you guys doing this morning?
All right.
Good. Are you a Temple fan in North Philly?
Yes, I am.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Win some, lose some.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing to hang your head about, They played them hard the whole game.
Yes, they did. So it's a great game.
What's going on? Workers' comp question you got?
Yeah, a complicated situation. I've been trying to get into you guys' office. I've been calling over the last two weeks to come in and see someone in regards to my situation. It's a bit complicated, but I was working for a big company, Fortune 500 worldwide company, out of a certain division in Bensalem, PA. And I got injured on the job back on June the 10th. Under workman's comp, doctor, light duty recommendation, haven't been getting adequate assistance at work. And when I complained about it, operations manager came down and they gave me a write-up.
Let me ask you a question. I don't want to cut you off, but I got to ask you a couple questions so that we can make this complicated question simple. Okay. First, do you currently have an attorney to represent you on your workers' comp claim?
No, I don't.
Okay. And if your employer provides you with a light-duty job that you cannot do even as a light-duty job, you cannot do it with your disability or injury, then your only choice is not to continue to kill yourself to get that job done and do it less than your employer expects. Here's what your obligation is. It's to leave. Get out of the employer's place of employment. Tell them, I appreciate the fact that you gave me a light duty, but with my injuries, I can't even do what you're asking me to do. If that's the case, that's what you need to do. Then you retain an attorney who files for your workers' comp benefits if your employer fights you on it. If you stay at the job and continue to try to do it despite the fact that your injuries prevent you from doing it, you're harming nobody but yourself.
Okay.
Get out. Right. Stop going. Tell your employer you can't do it.
Right. Well, that's basically what I did, what you just said. I still was trying to do my job to the best of my ability, so they ended up terminating me while on workman's comp, saying it was because of reduction in workforce. Just so happened I'm the only person in my position out of the whole company.
Yeah, that looks pretty obvious as to what that really is. And when you go before a workers' comp judge and you testify that yours is the only position that they terminated in your area, that workers' comp judge is going to know exactly what they're trying to do, and he or she will not take kindly to that. It will definitely inure to your benefit. But you're looking at some litigation ahead of you. It's not easy, and but you got to start by retaining counsel. And if you tried to get in, and let me tell you something. I'm going to shortchange this right now. You call me on Monday morning, and I'll get you in immediately.
Okay, great.
All right, William from North Philly.
Now they're trying to deny me a workman's comp, monetary.
No, you're talking not workers' comp. They're trying to deny you unemployment comp.
Oh, they said I can go on the fly for unemployment, but I was trying to get, the workman's comp.
And if you're injured, injured and you can't do your job, you're absolutely entitled to workers' comp.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you tomorrow. 215-227-2727. Don't forget the number. Yeah.
Don't forget the number.
It's there. Okay. Let's talk to Joe from Northeast Philly on line 4. Hello, Joe. Welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. I was expecting a male voice.
I figured you would.
Yes. Monica did not provide me with the gender of our caller. So what's Joe short for, if anything?
Joelle.
Joelle. Okay. So, Joelle, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. I watched Temple lose yesterday, but... and I did happen to spend 7 years, 7.5, but who's counting, down in North Philly as a Temple Owl. But, I still felt very proud of their efforts yesterday. And so I think everything is really going well. Where are you living in the Northeast?
Let's see, not far from Northeast High School.
Yeah, I spent a few years there too. But more time, most of the time, I would be cutting and going to the Burger King across the street or the Country Club diner. Yeah, but I just took my 32 absences very seriously, and I was a bad high school student. Anyway, Joelle from Northeast High School area, what's your question?
My question is, a week ago, my partner was driving on Roosevelt Boulevard. At night, car was disabled in the left lane. He was sitting inside the car with no lights on, no flashers on. And there was a car ahead of her, maybe SUV or something like that. I wasn't in the car with her, but this is what she told me. They swerved. She looked up like, what are they swerving for? She swerved to avoid this car when she seen it, but it was too late. So she clipped the back end of the car. Guy gets out. He checks on her. But before the police arrive, he walks away. Now, she whacked her head on the steering wheel, got some bumps and bruises, and the car's totaled. So my question is, if we can find this guy, do we have a case? Can we sue him?
No.
For damages?
No. Because we all have a duty to keep our cars under absolute adequate control for all emergency situations. And when a car is stopped with its flashers on the roadway, clearly, if you're far enough behind the car in front of you, this accident doesn't happen. And when you clip the rear of a car, regardless of what the reason is, well, virtually regardless of what the reason is, you are going to be the at-fault vehicle. The fact that the guy walked away, I don't know why he walked away. Maybe he's not the owner. Maybe he stole the car. Maybe, who knows, maybe. But the point is, that insurance company for the vehicle in front of you is never going to voluntarily pay you for damages based on the description you've provided.
Did I mention that it was at night?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
But you did say the vehicle had its flashers on.
No, it didn't have them on at all. No lights.
No lights.
None at all.
At all.
No lights at all. And the car was black.
Right.
But it might not have been operating.
Well, it might not have been operating, and the question then is, the car that your friend was operating had its headlights on, I presume, since it was nighttime, and the headlights show 100 feet or more into the distance.
The worst thing is the cars in front of your friend's car were able to get out of the way. So the question is, why couldn't she get out of the way? And I know you said, well, once they moved, then all of a sudden she saw the car. But
that just plays into she was probably following that car in front that swerved a little too closely. If she had been 4 or 5 car lengths behind that car, and again, depending on her speed, I don't know how fast she was going, but usually for every 10 miles an hour that you're traveling, you should be 1 to 2 car lengths behind the car in front. So if you're going 30, you should be probably 4 or 5 car lengths behind that car. And if she had that cushion, that safety cushion, as David said, she probably would have gotten around it.
Let's be clear here. We work in a world of percentages. So we're not saying, and clearly I can see a situation where if this went to court, they're going to find a percentage at fault on the driver of the car you're talking about and a percentage of fault on the car that stopped. But in Pennsylvania, if you're more than 50% at fault, more than half at fault for the happening of a collision, you're not going to be able to make any recovery. And it's clearly, I think here, pretty clear that the driver of the moving vehicle is going to be found to be more than 50% at fault.
Yeah, and that's a great point.
That's the whole...
In some states, you get the percentage of fault deducted regardless. So if you're 65% at fault and you have $10,000 in damage, you could still collect $3,500. They just deduct your piece of at-faultness. But in Pennsylvania, as soon as you're a scintilla more than 50%.
Scintilla.
50.1, 50.001. As soon as you go over that, as soon as the scale tips slightly in favor of being more at fault than not, then your damages go to zero. You can't collect a nickel, unfortunately. Thanks for calling Court Radio. Have a great Sunday. 215-227-2727. We still got to pay the bills, folks. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
If you've been injured, the road to recovery can seem long. At United Therapy Centers, we're here to help. Call us 877-510-7764. With leading-edge technology and our team approach, we provide the highest level of patient care with a pain management program developed just for you. If you've been injured, we can help. Call United Therapy Centers toll-free 877-510-7764. United Therapy Centers, get on the road to recovery.
If you've been in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, you know what matters. Being able to afford medical care, providing for your family while you're out of work, knowing your rights, and getting just compensation. These things matter. That's why your attorney matters. I'm Dean Weitzman. If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, My Philly Lawyer will fight for you. Call 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most. If you or a loved one has been the victim of a medical mistake or misdiagnosis, you know what matters. Getting proper care matters. Providing for your family matters. Your attorney matters. I'm Dean Weitzman. For more than 30 years, My Philly Lawyer has been holding hospitals and insurance companies accountable for medical errors. Let us fight for you. Call 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most.
If you have legal problems and need answers, call My Philly Lawyer's Dean Weitzman first at 215-227-2727. Whether it's personal injury, medical malpractice, birth injury, or more, Dean is ready to fight for you and the compensation you deserve.
I'm Dean Weitzman. Facing any kind of legal or medical challenge can be overwhelming, but you don't have to go it alone. Call 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning and welcome back. It's Court Radio, and I'm Dean Weitzman. It's November the 1st, folks. Shake it off. We got 2 months to go for 2015. I hope you make it to the end of the race, David.
Well, geez, thanks.
That's David M. Rappaport,
I hope I do too.
My co-host. 215-227-2727. It's going to be a nice day today. It's Football Sunday.
Dun, 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 football. Yeah, right.
No Eagles, though. They're on a bye week.
Oh.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, really. Who wants to watch that anyway?
Yeah. I'm just wondering how long it's going to be before Chip Kelly gets run out of town.
I think very soon. I hope.
And he's going to leave us with a team of misfit toys.
They already are.
Ay, ay, ay.
I know.
Thank goodness we have the Temple Owls to watch.
Exactly.
215-227-2727. Let's talk to, is it Mario from Frankfurt? Hey, Mario, welcome to Court Radio.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you? You sound very excited to be on the show. Are you?
Oh, yeah, because I had been calling a lot, and I could never really get in. It seemed like the phone was always jammed.
Okay.
I guess everybody got a lot of legal problems out there.
No kidding.
Yeah. No, and people love free, you know?
Yeah, right.
People love free. So, Mario, I'm going to answer your question, but we're going to give your little ticket here back to our producer, who will get back on the line after the show and get you a T-shirt for Court Radio today. How's that? Because you were trying so long to get on. All right.
So, what's your issue?
Go ahead, Mario.
Go ahead.
Your best
Give us
shot.
your issue.
Okay. A couple of months back, my ex, she lost her job.
Okay.
And she was tight for money, so I loaned her I loaned her money for rent and some other things, so it accumulated up to like about $1,500. And later on, now she's working. I asked her for the money about the loan, and she's sort of like denying it.
So, wait, I assume that this loan was all in writing and you filed it to protect it in a safe deposit box, the contract, and it's been notarized and all that, right?
No.
Of course not. You just lent her the money, right?
Yeah, we took her for her word that she would.
Bye-bye, Mario.
Wait, Mario, were you having relations with this woman?
No, this is my ex, no.
No, but at the time.
At the time that you lent her the money?
No.
No. Okay. So you lent her the money and you said to her, you're going to pay me back, right? And she said, sure.
Right.
Okay, well, we call that an oral contract. It has value.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they could believe you if you'd like. And the fact that you weren't sleeping with her at the time.
And you weren't together,
Yeah,
that
you
might have some traction.
Okay, so here's what you got to do, Mario. You got to go.
Wait, can I say something?
Yeah.
Real quick. And now, the fact, during this time, we were going through a divorce. We were still going through our divorce. And she's saying that I loaned. She said if we did go to court, she would say that I loaned her the money because I was trying to get back with her.
Wait. But you're saying you were married at the time you gave her this money?
Well, our divorce it hadn't came through yet.
Well, so you were married?
Yeah, does that change anything?
Sure.
How does it change it?
For like 3 years.
But, right. What I'm saying is when you gave her this money, you were still married. You were in the process of getting divorced, right?
Yes, but we were separated for like 2 or 3 years.
Okay. So, well, it could change it because the money you might have given her or lent her could have been money that could be considered marital property.
Here's the deal.
So half the money would be hers anyway.
Right. Well, that David brings up a good point, and that is an issue. I mean, are you giving her marital property? Probably not.
Probably not after 2 years.
Yeah.
No.
Is she entitled to support?
Right.
You know, she might make.
Divorce was with no contest. Both of us wanted to get out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But you do understand that in Pennsylvania, a spouse can request support from his or her spouse and is entitled absolutely to that support during the divorce period. Before the divorce becomes finalized, one spouse who makes less than the other is entitled to 40% of the difference. So, for instance, if you made $30,000 and she made $10,000, there's a $20,000 difference between her salary and your salary, and she's entitled to 40% of that difference. So, in my scenario, she'd be entitled to $8,000 a year until the divorce becomes final. That's absolutely the law, and so she didn't pursue that claim, I assume, and you weren't paying her support. But that could come up, Mario. It could, I suppose, come up as a defense.
As a defense, yeah.
To your claim.
Sure.
But if you want it.
Even though we had already signed an agreement that.
Even though, until the day the judge signs the divorce papers, the lower income spouse is entitled to spousal support.
How much money did you lend her?
$1,500.
$1,500?
Yeah. You better count your blessings.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to cost you more to get it.
Mario.
It's going to cost you more to get that back than it is to even worry about it.
But again, if you want to, I'd love to bring a film crew down to watch this
at municipal court.
Right. Yeah. If you want to, you could sue her in municipal court, okay, under an oral contract and say, listen, I lent this money. She promised to pay it back when she got her money back, and she has nixed that agreement.
You don't need a film crew. You just got a cell phone and just hold it up.
Yeah.
A film crew.
When the judge beats you down.
I can't wait to hear. Yeah. Well, hey, maybe, who knows?
I think, I
you
like it.
You never know. I like the novelty of the argument.
All right, Mario, I'm hoping you're happy you got in finally to Court Radio. Right. You stay on the line, and Monica's going to get on with you and get you a Court Radio T-shirt. It's about the only thing you're going to get today, bud.
Yeah, really. It's not worth $1,500, so.
215-227-2727. When you can't get into Court Radio and you've got legal issues.
Twitter.
You can reach us.
You can tweet us at Court Radio.
Oh, David, here you go.
You have the internet, so you can go online to courtradio.com, or you can email. I mean, you got all these things available to you, so don't just sit on the line if you can't get it on the line.
There you go. And we might read your question the following week.
We may
and
read your
answer
tweet and tweet back, like twits.
Yeah, twits and tweets.
Don't say it.
I'm not.
All right, go ahead.
All right. What happened? I don't know. Let's talk to Todd from Northeast Philly.
Oh, this will be good.
Todd.
We know a lot of Todds.
Good morning.
None from Northeast Philly. Good
Hey,
morning to you, too, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing fine this morning. I woke up, to use the bathroom. I heard y'all on the radio, and it was, towards the case that I'm going on with, a workman comp case. And I said, I needed somebody to talk to.
Okay.
There's 2 incidents at my job and stuff. In March and stuff, I had an incident that I hurt my back and stuff and lower neck, slipped and fell in the kitchen and stuff. They put me out on workman comp and stuff, and I was going therapy and everything. Got better and stuff with my back and stuff. Went back, but I still had problem with my neck. I'm going back and forth to the doctor. They discharged me and stuff, to go back to work. I went back to work for full duty and stuff for a while and stuff, and I did my job and everything and stuff. I lifted and everything. Recently and stuff, September, I messed around and was working and stuff, injured my upper back and neck again, re-injured it in my lower back. And within that first case, too, as I forgot to tell you, it was my wrist. And they told me since I didn't mess around and had treatment when I first came in and told them that it would still bother me, they couldn't give me no treatment for my wrist. So they never did. So I told them.
So I want you to take as long as you want, but if you keep going like this, it'll be next week.
Yeah.
It'll be Court Radio next week. You get the answer. We got a minute and a half, Matt.
Okay, all right.
Bring it to conclusion.
Bring it
here.
home.
What's your question?
Bring it home.
All right. The question is now and stuff, since the injury again and stuff, my lower back, neck, and upper back, and my wrist.
Question.
All right. The question is and stuff, they sent me back to the doctor and stuff. He put me out a little bit and stuff.
Doesn't sound like a question.
Go ahead.
Question has a question mark at the end. It goes,
okay.
Can I do blah, blah, blah?
Well, the whole thing, they discharged me, all the doctors and everything, and said I could do the job and stuff.
Okay, here's the deal. Here's
Same
the deal.
as the other guy.
I got to ask the question for you.
We got it.
What happens when they discharge me, Dean? Can I do
tell me I
anything
can do my
about
job,
it?
right? They say I can do my job. Well, first thing is get a lawyer. It sounds like you don't have one of those.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. You can, if your workers' comp doctor, for the first 90 days in Pennsylvania, you got to treat with the workers' comp doctor. But when the workers' comp doctor kicks you to the curb and you're still hurting, you can go to any doctor you want. And if you can't do your job, that's the key. If you can't do your regular duties because of a work-related injury, get out of work and get yourself a lawyer. End of story. That lawyer will pursue the claim under workers' comp benefits.
Right.
And it's
now, if you can work but you need treatment and you don't think they're giving you the best treatment, you can still go to your own doctor and they should have to pay for it. And you might need a lawyer to get them to do that. But the key is, can you work? If you can't physically work, then don't go to work just because they're telling you.
All right, folks, we're all out of time, and that's the last word you're going to hear on Court Radio today. See you next Sunday, the same time, same place.